As Russian invasion of Ukraine continues, the European Commission proposed a ban on Russian oil imports. So far, this is Europe's toughest move to isolate Russia. In the immediate aftermath, oil prices jumped on Wednesday. Crude prices have seen an uptick over the past 2 months amid the Russia-Ukraine conflict. Until now, the European Union had been reluctant to fully cut off Russian oil and gas. Europe imports 3.5 million barrels of Russian oil and oil products daily. The timeline to phase out import of Russian crude is 6 months. European Commission President has also promised to minimize the impact of the move on European countries. Let's just take a look at how the countries are responding to the new developments here. Hungary and Slovakia will continue buying Russian crude oil until the year 2023. This will be done under the existing contracts. Last year, Slovakia received 96% and Hungary received 58% of their crude oil imports from Russia. Czech Republic and Bulgaria will seek an exemption from EU's proposed embargo on Russian oil. Czech Republic has been looking to increase the capacity of the pipeline which runs from Italy to Germany via Austria. On the other hand, Bulgaria's only oil refinery owned by Russia's Lukoil is the dominant fuel provider in the Balkan country. Austria then has ruled out sanctions on imports of oil and gas from Russia. Prime Minister of Belgium, Alexander De Croo, has called for sanctions against Russia to be more severe to have an effect on the Kremlin. Croatian Prime Minister has also reportedly told a recent EU summit that the country had almost completely eliminated its dependence on Russian gas. The country has built a new terminal and is looking to increase capacity at another one as well. EU has plans to ban Russian ships from EU ports. Cyprus has expressed its reservations, citing potential damage to the shipping sector. Meanwhile, German economy minister has said that the country would back EU plans to ban Russian oil imports either immediately or ideally in a few months. Germany is Europe's biggest economy. It had cut the share of Russian oil from 35% to 12% before Russia invaded Ukraine. The Commission's proposal is under discussion. It needs approval of all EU governments. The European Union has also pledged to significantly increase its support to Ukraine's neighbor country, Moldova. And for more on this, our correspondent Trent Murray is now joining us live from Berlin. Trent, thank you so much for joining us. Can you begin by bringing us up to speed with the latest developments on this? Of course, we've spoken about the responses, but what is the general consensus?
Yeah, well, this sixth set of sanctions against Russia was really meant to deal a very heavy blow to Russia's oil industry. But already within the European Union here, we are seeing disagreement and division from some countries about just how far and how quickly to go. And that is because several countries, especially in Central Europe, are essentially saying economically it would be very damaging for them to sign up to this plan to essentially ban Russian crude oil imports within the next 6 months. Now, as you note, the main outspoken countries in all of this are Hungary and Slovakia. They are looking for exemptions. They say 6 months is simply too soon. They will need more time. But we are also hearing this morning other countries now starting to flag concerns, including the Czech Republic and Bulgaria. Now, this is probably no surprise. Of course, the European Union is a bloc made up of 27 member countries. It's always difficult to get a consensus, but there is certainly a desire to implement these set of packages in order to send a strong message to the Kremlin. But the practicalities are still all being worked out. We understand that the European Commission is working very, very hard to try and come up with a deal that everybody can sign off on. It is probably going to look like several Eastern European countries will get an exemption to that 6 months turn-off time. Right. Just how long the exemption runs for, though, well, that remains to be seen.
Absolutely, Trent. Now, also, let's talk about Germany. German economy minister said that the country would back EU plans to ban Russian oil imports either immediately or ideally. Now here is the question. Is there a roadmap for the same?
Yeah, well, Germany's been having some very intense discussions about this very issue over the past couple of months, because not only is it the European Union's biggest economy, but it's also one of the countries that relies most heavily on Russian gas and oil to help power its economy. So government officials and industry desperately working over the past few months to try and reduce the amount of gas and oil coming from Russia. It's not easy, according to the government. Now, Robert Habeck, the economy minister here, says that before this kind of new phase of the war in Ukraine began, when Russia launched its fresh invasion in February, about 33% of the country's oil imports came from Russia. He says in recent months he's managed to get that down to 12%, but that final 12% is very, very difficult to shut off completely, especially for this area where I am in Berlin. And speaking to the media yesterday, he said he simply cannot guarantee that there won't be disruptions and supply shortages potentially when this 6-month window opens and there is a shortage. He said this area where I am could face some disruption, so they are working on that. It is worth noting, though, gas, the much bigger issue for Germany. Today, Robert Habeck will sign off on a new floating LNG terminal to essentially allow shipped gas to come to Germany instead of relying on those pipes that run all the way from Russia. But it will take time. Germany, like so many European countries, now working very fast in the wake of this war in Ukraine.
Right. All right, Ren, thank you so much for bringing us up to speed with all the updates on this. WION is now available in your country. Download the app now. Get all the news on the move.